PDF 2008. Now it's been 4 years since the first one, 2004, and we're doing a retrospective video of how has PDF affected this conversation and what's happened. You've been very interested in this all along, Dan Gillmor, and tell us what you thought would happen, what did that you thought, what didn't that you did, the good, the bad, the ugly of this, and what you hope for the future.
Well, I think everyone who was watching in 2004 and 2003, which was the biggest early glimmerings of where this might go, and even that was based on things prior to that, so nothing's really that new. But I think the general consensus back 4 years ago was that we were at least one or several, maybe a few election cycles away from the pervasiveness of the tools, the ease of use of the tools, and a whole bunch of other things becoming such that we would see a just profound and really game-changing effect on a big race or a bunch of races. Mm-hmm. And I think we're pretty close. I still think for it to be completely ingrained and embedded in the system, we are still some cycles away from that, but wow, big changes.
So when you say embedded in the system, what does that mean?
Well, I think about embedding in the sense of actually embedding even may be the wrong word. I think we need to get this into the DNA. We need to have some gene splicing here and make this the technology of collaboration and communications become fundamentally part of the political sphere, and specifically not just the campaigns, but most importantly the stuff that goes on in between campaigns, which is like governing, like life. Now, one might argue that the time between campaigns is down to about 3 minutes, but we know what I mean here. It's the governance piece is almost totally not being touched so far, and that's the biggest opportunity. It's just not as sexy as using all this to elect somebody.
But in a sense that could be because of the coarse granularity of cable news, and the neat thing about the internet has always been that you can have finer granularity, you can have more nuanced conversations like we see in the blogosphere. How far do you think we're from that? Is it tools or is it mindset? You said DNA?
Combination. It's a, like all things that are new and that change the way we do things in some sense. It takes, the early adopters go crazy with it, have a lot of fun with it, and it takes some time for the non-early adopters to, first of all, I don't mean understand it because it's not that hard to understand, but to use it with the same sense of discovery. And I think that's still some period off, but we're seeing again lots and lots of things happen. When Joe Trippi in 2004 said to me and a lot of other people said, look, we're going to have a campaign someday where 1 million people send in $100.
Yes.
That's $100 million, which in 2004 sounded like an incredibly big amount of money. But it's done. And more than that, we're going to have 10 million people send in $100. That's $1 billion. Now we're getting into something that's for elections that's just going to swamp everything that came before if money does rule, which it has a fairly big influence on it. But again, we've got to get this into the governance side. We're such slaggards on that part.
Well, I think the handles haven't been there. A while ago on this PDF 2008 channel, Robert Scoble talked about he's going down to Washington tomorrow. He's so concerned about the talent that's available in this country. And he says because of education policies, immigration policies, taxing, doesn't mean we need necessarily more or less taxing, but it's just how well it's designed. So we're talking systems design, but complex systems design. Do you think people with the right tools could actually participate in that and kind of take that apart and study it the way the bloggers have done that somewhat?
Well, I think people are doing that. One of the issues in the discovery process of what people are doing is going to be to find out what they're doing and figure out what's working, what's not, not simply through trial and error or oh, there's something interesting, but some more organized discovery and pushing to the surface that again, people are doing, but I haven't seen the kind of attention devoted to that piece of it by, for example, universities that we need to see. I think there's a great research opportunity here, which will lead to great stuff in the end if we do that. But again, the collaborative nature of the tools, APIs, no one 4 years ago had more than the vaguest idea, not no one, there were smarter people than me, but the idea of pervasive APIs and the ability to plug this into that, into that, into that, into that, and come back around. We knew it was possible, we talked about it, but we hadn't seen that take off, but people are doing it. And that's where we can start to really get closer to action and governance technology and kind of a Legos methodology where we can put together what we need now for the thing we need now and for the future.
And of course, anytime you mention that, you have to think of Sunlight Foundation, the amazing work they've done.
Sunlight has been, without any doubt, the leader in organizing it and pushing that agenda. Their focus, of course, is Congress, but they've set a great lesson for everybody, and they're certainly going to go beyond what they've been doing, and other people are taking their lessons and applying them in other areas.
It's fascinating to me that essentially is 4 people got together and made it happen with the money of one of them, and this is amazing stuff.
Well, but again, when you talk with Clay Shirky, whose profound insights are led, in my current opinion, by his amazing insight that because the cost of trying stuff is down to almost zero except your time, that means that around the globe people are trying interesting stuff, and in a incredible free-for-all that means we're going to get some good answers. We just aren't sure yet where they'll be and how we'll find them.
Thank you, Dan Gillmor.
It's a
very
pleasure.
helpful.